into my positive perspective. My name is Jason Dyerline. I'm the host, and I'm joined here by Alyson Murphy. So how you doing, Alyson?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
And Alyson is the communications manager at the New York School of Etiquette.
Etiquette.
Yeah.
Etiquette School of New York in Manhattan.
Etiquette School in New York and Manhattan, and that implies manners and all that. So
Correct.
so what exactly is the difference between etiquette and manners in general? Yeah.
The difference is that etiquette is more the rules, and manners are more the principles that the rules are founded on, such as kindness, consideration, respect. So the rules, they'll change over time, but the principles will remain the same.
Okay.
And it's how we articulate. Manners is kind of how we articulate those principles.
Yeah, sure. And there are manners when we eat. So maybe you could tell about a few of those things.
Sure. We do a lot of dining lessons. We have them for everyone from 6 and 7-year-old to corporate executives that are trying to be better at taking out their clients. And so the first thing I like to teach them is the difference between your bread and your drink, because if you're at a circle or a long table, it could be hard to know if your bread is on your left or your right.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach the kids under the table to make a B and a D. B for bread, D for drink.
Gotcha.
So you know your bread is going to be on your left and your drink on your right.
Okay.
That's one of the things we teach, the difference in American versus continental style. American, you cut, you put the knife down, you switch the fork to your right hand and eat with the tines up. Versus continental, you cut and eat simultaneously, holding the knife and the fork.
And because one's named American and the other's continental.
Right. And continental's accepted all over the world. American, we would just probably use in the States more.
Yeah. Because there's definitely a lot of laws that apply in other places but don't apply here, or vice versa, or there may be a different spectrum of that. So you really need to know the international law of etiquette too, kind of.
Right. It's important when you're traveling and going to a different country to do research on their country so that you're not insulting them, but there's a lot I'm learning in body language and a lot of things that you could do to insult them that we might think is normal. So just make sure before you go to another country, or if you're hosting clients internationally, that you've studied up on what their protocol is.
Yeah. Well, talk about kind of the hands and what that may mean, and how we position our hands, what that implies.
So with etiquette, and manners, it's making the people you're around feel most comfortable as you can, and a lot of that is being intuitive and picking up on their body language and knowing what you're doing with your body. So hands are one of the most important things. There's so many gestures that we do with our hands. The further away from our brain we get, the least aware we are. So our feet could be the most telling because they're the furthest away. Our hands are the most showing because they're in front of us. Palms up is very important, the power of the palms. They show honesty, they show that we're being truthful. It's harder for someone else to lie when you're showing your palms, and you come off as more truthful and honest when your palms are up. So try and talk with your hands, palms up. Other gestures to be aware of are when the hand rub. How fast you rub the hand is who's benefiting. So if you do it slowly, whatever you're talking about might be benefiting yourself, whereas if you do it fast, you have an idea that might be benefiting somebody else. Steeples, confident. The face platter shows you're flirting with a guy, you want to show off your face.
Okay.
The clenching of the hands shows authority, whether that's in front of you or behind you, and how high up you go on the wrist shows how certain you are, or comfortable you are in a situation. So being aware of those, if you're tugging at your ear versus your neck versus a collar versus your cuff length, they all symbolize different emotions. So being able to pick up on those signals, and in the certain environment can be helpful for whether you're in a business or social situation.
Right, and going back to manners, which is one of the things, one of the big things you teach. And you instruct, children as young as 6 or 7,
Right.
correct? Maybe you talk about, how important it is, just for particularly for young men, to be, respectful of women and older males also.
Right. I'm from New York, or I live in New York, I'm from here, but in New York, if you see someone elderly get on the subway, whether you're a guy or a girl, give up your seat, let them sit down. Just making sure, know the difference between social is always hierarchy, business is always hierarchy, social is always chivalry. So if you're a guy, you walk on the left side of the girl, the inside of the street, to make sure that if a car comes by, you get splashed first. Or the guy, make sure you help her with her coat. I had a 6 and a 7-year-old the other day, and the boy was so sweet in that when we left the restaurant after the dining lesson, he realized it was raining and that his sister and I didn't have a coat on. So I told him it was okay. We were just a block away from his apartment, but the next thing I know, he had taken off his jacket and put it on his sister's shoulder, and he was freezing. And he was like, "It's okay if I'm cold. It's more important that my sister is warm and comfortable. So it's more important for the girl to be comfortable." So even a 7-year-old can pick up on that, it was so amazing to see.
Yeah, well, I guess you're a good instructor if he's already implying what he's taught. That and that's gotta be satisfying for you, the instructor.
It's very rewarding.
This boy really listened to what I say, and not only did he listen to what I'm saying, he's immediately implying it.
Right.
Yeah.
Most kids are fighting at that age and want to hurt their sisters or argue with their sisters, and here he was making sure that her warmth and safety was the most important thing.
But that's great, because I know behaviors that the children pick up when they're young is something they usually continue when they grow older, and if they're starting off on the wrong side of the road, it's hard to get back.
Right.
So,
and a lot of people didn't go to cotillion, so that's why we have CEOs or managers sending their account executives to us to get training, because they might be meeting with important clients and they don't know not to salt and pepper their food before tasting it, because that's an insult to the chef, or what silverware, what fork you're going to start with first, or the difference between American and continental style. So even if you didn't have those instructions as a kid, it's not too late, especially to develop yourself better professionally or in social environments as well. Sure.
And real quickly, before we leave, you're getting ready to start your own company when you finish school in New York. And what's the name of that company?
Murphy's Manners. Murphy's Manners. To start back in Charleston in maybe a couple years. So we'll definitely have to come back and come back periodically as much as you want. And we really appreciate what you're doing. It's very educational, and it's important for children to know these things. So we appreciate it, Allie. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning into My Positive Perspective. Have a great day.
Away. Only good vibes and good times living in my brain. On a sunny day, catch me lamping in the shade, feeling so fine and so high. Oh, my sunny days, still I hope all my efforts will one day pan out. The love within you'll never be without, so I roll, feeling strong and so invincible, never scared.